Good afternoon, friends and family, Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and I'm so glad that you have chosen to spend a little time with me this afternoon. My guest for this afternoon is a gentleman by the name of Clarke Henderson Davis. But before I bring him in, we're going to talk about the breath today and the importance of breathing. And he's going to give us some techniques, and we're going to have a great chat. But I want to tell you a little bit about who we are at the Center for Spiritual Living. So, welcome. You can tell a lot, I think, about an organization by what it is that they value. And these are our values at the Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. We value spiritual growth and practice. That's the first thing. So we like to give you tools to enhance your spiritual practice and your spiritual life, and to help you grow and to learn. And that's the first thing on our list there. We value love. We value appreciation and community. We value freedom, creativity, and self-expression. We value health and wholeness, generosity, and financial well-being. And our mission is the same mission as the larger organization. Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is just one of many centers for spiritual living that is found all over the world. And our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. I think it's an awesome vision. And that's what we're here to do. So before I bring Clarke into the conversation, I thought I'd lead us in a little prayer. And so if you can, wherever you are, whatever it is that you're doing, just take a moment and kind of turn your attention inward. And if that means you close your eyes, you can do that. Or just let your focus go soft and just take a deep breath in. And just be present and just be here in this time and this place, and releasing anything that has come before this moment and any concerns or any thoughts about what is to come next, and just be here now in this moment. And take another nice deep breath and feel yourself relax into the presence. And so I feel myself in this power and presence that runs in and around and through all things. I know this presence is all powerful, it is all knowing, and it exists everywhere. And I can tap into its wisdom. I can tap into that knowing field. I can tap into that love. I can tap into the allness. And from that place, I speak my word for myself, and I speak it for all those who are within the sound of my voice. And I just pray and affirm that this time together is a time of insight, that it's a time of revelation, that it's a time of learning and growth and expansion for each and every one of us. I affirm that what needs to be said is said, that what needs to be heard is heard, and that each one of us walks away from this experience better for having been here and spent this time together. I pray for our larger community, for our nation, for our world, for all those who are suffering, all those whose hearts are heavy, those who may be physically ill or just sick at heart. And I affirm healing. I affirm that healing is happening in this moment. I affirm that we are moving forward to greater things. And I just affirm that everything is unfolding in Spirit's perfect and right divine order, no matter what they may look like at the moment. And so I claim divine perfection, and I release these words back to the universe, back to the law, and know that it is already done. And I say, and so it is. And so think I'm going to play a little song here that was suggested by our guest for this afternoon. So I'm going to bring it on in here and share my screen with you all. It's not sharing? It's not sharing still? It's not working? Yes, no? No? Well, it looks like the song didn't work. We just roll with it. We just keep rolling with it. Maybe the song will be for later, but at any rate, I want to tell you, excuse me.
The sound is there, not the picture.
Not the picture. Got it. Okay. All right. Thanks to my tech guy that's off camera. Anyway, reboot. We know that everything is in perfect and right divine order, no matter what it appears to be on the surface, right? So anyway, I want to tell you a little bit about our guest speaker this afternoon. His name is Clarke Henderson Davis. And Clarke was referred to me by a friend. He does conscious breathing workshops, and he came to the center and did the workshop. And it was about 3 hours that we spent together the first time. And I was blown away by how much I learned and the capacity and what is available to us just through breathing and through different breathing patterns. And so I knew I had to talk to Clarke at some point about this and have him share his message with a larger group of people. And so I was thinking about Clarke, and apparently he was thinking of me at the same time. And of course, all of this, that's happening around us with the COVID situation and the events of the past week or so, where the words "I can't breathe" have been so much on my heart and at the forefront of a lot of people's minds. So I think it was the perfect divine right order that Clarke and I connected at the time that we did, so that we could have this conversation. And so I'm going to bring him on into the stream here. And welcome, Clarke.
Hello, thank you.
Hey, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I am thrilled to have you. So, so I didn't give your whole introduction. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in your day job?
Okay, so I'm a trauma therapist, addiction therapist, and level 2 breath worker. So I help people in residential treatment to work through their trauma and addiction. And one of the tools I use is the conscious connected breathing, among other things. It works best with other forms of psychotherapy and so forth. But it within itself is very powerful. So I do that, and I do, we have a company called Balance. We do help people in the community with sober transport and individual therapy, group therapy, and so
Right.
forth. And
I'll show a little slide with that at the end that has
okay,
all that information so they can get a hold of you and know
yeah,
how to, how to chat with you. So, so Clarke, you work at the guest house here in Ocala,
that's
correct?
correct. I've
And
been
it's
there since they started
mm-hmm,
3+ years ago.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But your journey in working with people in trauma and recovery has been much longer than that, right?
Right, right.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery myself from addiction and trauma also,
Yeah.
and both early childhood situations that created trauma. And the way we talk about that is unresolved trauma can lead to addiction,
Yeah.
where we find a way to cope using various chemicals or process addictions, gambling, food, blah, 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 or chemical use to deal with the unresolved issues and PTSD connected to the original trauma. So I've had to do a lot of work on myself over the last 27 years. And as I told you yesterday, one of the things that happened in my life is the death of my brother, which I think that moved me in the direction of counseling and helping others to heal more than anything else. And of course, as the saying goes, when you find healing from your own pain, one of the great ways to give it away and even earn a living is to help others.
Yeah. I know that is true for me. And I think that's true for many people that are in, you don't have to be a minister to be in ministry, right? This is
Right.
your work is your ministry. And I think there are many of us that come into helping professions and the desire to pass on what we've learned through our own paths and our own pain to maybe help people come through a little quicker or a little easier. Like, the idea that you don't have to touch the stove yourself to know it's hot. Somebody else do it, right?
That's right.
So I can, you can say, right, the stove is hot, man, don't touch it.
Yeah, yeah. We can give a heads up in many areas to go, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
That's wisdom,
right.
wisdom of the experience.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I volunteer at the men's prison here in Ocala,
Hmm.
and almost all of those guys in a class of 25 people, probably 20 of them, or maybe even all of them, have some kind of either childhood trauma or addiction. Just so many things.
Absolutely. And prison itself is traumatizing.
Yes,
The time you spend there is based in a lot of fear and helplessness.
absolutely. If they're not traumatized when they walk in, they're definitely traumatized while they're there.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, I had 27 years of sobriety
Yes.
for you.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Was there like a turning point? Was there, what was the point where you said, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. I need to change.
Well, a number of things. Being a father,
Mm-hmm.
but being unavailable to my children because addiction is such a powerful entity or animal, or you can't be available even if you want to.
Right.
So I had my 4 children. I had 3 children when it was the worst, and so the guilt, the shame, the pain of that,
Yeah.
the pain and grief of losing my brother, what it was doing to my mother, my sisters. So I got to a point where using could not medicate the pain,
Right.
which is very helpless because we used to medicate pain, emotional pain, mental pain. So when that stops working, then where do you turn? So I found help in 12-step process,
Mm-hmm.
12-step rooms, and that's where my journey started.
Yeah.
And of course, for those who don't know, early recovery is not because the problem is not what you're using, the problem is why you're using.
Right.
So early recovery, you still have this pain, so it is best to start working on it immediately.
Right.
The emotional and mental anguish. So
Yeah. And so many of us have different, drugs of choice
oh yeah,
to diminish that pain, right? So it's
yeah,
not just, drugs, it's booze, it's sex, it's overworking, it's, how many things,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And we call those process addictions. They lump them together. Porn, food, shopping, workaholism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of familiar with those.
Yeah,
Pounds from where I was,
yeah. But
and that,
when you study addiction, you realize, it gets such a horrible label. But addiction has been on the earth for all times. The Romans were very addicted.
right?
And how long ago was that?
Yeah.
So there's all forms of addiction. We just cringe when we hear the word and people don't really look into it. Everybody has something going on.
Yeah. 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 Some addictions are just more socially acceptable than others,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Or, people don't see it. If somebody's got a porn addiction, you don't see that,
Difficult, and it's
right?
held in top secret. So.
Yeah. If you have a food addiction, people see it because it's worn all over your body, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I dealt with that. So tell me a little bit more about your spiritual path. It started then with 12 step, or was there something before that?
Well, God had His hand on me from the beginning.
Mm.
When we talked a little bit about this yesterday, so I had time to think it through, and so I was always a lover of Christ when I was a kid, and because of resistance, rebellion, and all that, I ended up I became a Rastafari, and had beautiful experiences because it was a welcome fellowship, right? Felt at home and wanted and involved and included, and then went on to get lost in addiction, and at the end of that came into addiction. 12-step program asks you to find a God of your understanding, and so I went back to my original Christ, and I was an altar boy and all that, and so I went back to that, but I had to broaden the perspective from what I was taught, like in Catholic school, because it was very constricted.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I went on various things and try different things, and various paths, meditation, chanting, read a lot on Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, connected with the Art of Living course, met Ravi Shankar. That happened, a number of things happened to me in recovery when I went to Unity Church and met various teachers who would pass through and the beautiful prayers of the Unity, and just incorporated all of that. I feel very attached to Paramahansa Yogananda. So I use a lot of his teachings. So a little bit of everything works for me.
That's why we connect, right?
Yeah.
That's why we connect, because when you get to the bottom, you know, the mysticism of any of the religious traditions, whether it's Christianity or Judaism or Muslim or Hindu, we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if you know this, but we're sister organizations to Unity.
I didn't know.
Centers for Spiritual Living and Unity are considered new thought communities. And so we came up at the same time, as well as 12-step. 12-step also came up at the same time as Unity and what is called Science of Mind, what we teach in Centers for Spiritual Living. So they all have common roots.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So now tell me how you got into breath work. And for me, it was just an incredible experience to do that 3 hours. And I want you to share with folks about, some of those insights.
My first experience with breathing was early in my recovery. I met a pundit, and I can't remember his name, but we went to this class, and he was doing alternate nostril breathing, which is you alternate the nostril, right? And he was doing breath of fire. You're aware of that?
No.
So the breath of fire is
like hyperventilating?
It's not hyperventilating, but it sounds like that. Anyway, those two things put me on the floor during that class. But it also did something to me that I didn't realize until later, which is it opened a door within me to connect to my breath. Because one of the things with addiction and trauma, it shuts down your ability to breathe properly and deeply. So, for instance, traumatic experiences, a car accident. Imagine you getting into a car accident, the body goes, and it shuts down the breath. And if you're in an abusive household or things like that, that becomes repetitive and it becomes a pattern. So having had experiences like that, my breath was inhibited and blocked. So that experience opened the door for me. And then as I went on to work in treatment, I met a breath practitioner, my friend Laurie, and she did a breathwork classes, which further opened the door to emotional states and spiritual states. So I eventually went to training and became a practitioner myself.
Awesome.
And been doing that for the last 10 years or more.
Nice. I what you're talking about, the idea of the breath and how your body holds trauma. I know you're familiar with ACEs. I want to tell people about that acronym ACES, which means Adverse Childhood Experiences, right? And it's that scale where you get a point if you've experienced different things in childhood, right? So if the loss of a parent, I think is a, well, maybe it's not a point. Actually, if you were abused, physically abused, it's a point. If you were
Hmm.
sexually abused, it's a point. If you were neglected, if there was someone in your home that was incarcerated, if there was mental illness, et cetera, right? So up to 10 points. And the most you can get is 10. So as those number of points goes up, so does every kind of dysfunction, right? You're more likely
Absolutely.
to be divorced, you're more likely to abuse substances and so on. So when I looked at the scale, it also correlates with different physical things. You're more likely to have cancer and heart disease and things like that. But the one that blew my mind was COPD, emphysema, right? You're like, I think it's like 4 times more likely to have COPD if you have an ACE score of 5 or more. And I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who's a physical therapist, and I said, I don't understand that. I mean, I could see heart disease and cancer, I understand those, but why emphysema? And she said exactly what you said. She says, oh, that's easy. She's, what do you do when you're afraid? You go, right? So
Yeah.
imagine a kid that's growing up in a household where there's abuse happening and they're
Yes.
continually having to kind of catch their breath, right? Like
Right.
not breathing. And that shows up in your body
Yes.
50 years later.
Yep.
It's just amazing. I mean, now, there's no like, I guess, actual scientific proof of that. That's just anecdotal, but it makes sense to me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of research now. Um, a lot has been known about the effects of trauma, PTSD, and so
Mhm.
forth. And so there's a lot of research out there
Yeah.
uh, if you tap into it.
And there's more and more coming out all the time.
Absolutely. Um,
So, this what's happened in the past week. Well, not just the past week, but the past months, right? It's
mhm,
just so fascinating to me, this idea of COVID attacking the respiratory system. So you got all these people that are dying, they can't breathe. And then what happened with George Floyd and protesters all over the world, with the sign, the chants, I can't breathe, I can't breathe.
mhm,
And people have been just kind of suffocated for a long time.
mhm.
And just how amazing it is that we have that capacity within ourselves, that our body, that the creator has put within us a way to heal that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this, but in the early days, when everything was shutting down all over the world,
Mhm.
people in India was seeing the mountains in Tibet for the first time
Yeah.
because of the pollution.
Right.
The shutting down created the pollution to move on out, so they were able to see things, and they showed you London and New York, Los Angeles, how the smog cleared.
Right.
So before even that happened, so we've been choking ourselves and poisoning ourselves for a long time, especially those of us who live in large cities, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, and you go up in the mountains in Jamaica, crystal clear, you could see down to the waters, the beach from up in the mountains.
Mhm.
And that's not available anymore because pollution. And so we've been choking ourselves for a long time.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to breathe well for a long time, and
In a lot of ways, a lot of different ways.
in a lot of different ways. And of course, the stress inhibits our ability to breathe. So
Yeah.
physical, mental, emotional, medical stress. Um, so as you said, the COVID came along, and what's been happening the last couple of weeks.
Right.
So I hope we are waking up.
Yeah.
I hope we're waking up to what is real, and we can make huge changes.
Yes. We can. I mean, you know, because Mother Nature shut it down. Right.
Yeah,
This feels like a wake up call. Like we need to make some changes now.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And we know that we human beings can make that difference
Of
individually
course,
and collectively.
yeah. It
Right.
takes the power of will.
Right. A desire. Yeah.
We have to
So
be willing.
I do have you're gonna do a little exercise with us?
Yes, wanted to do a little practice of what we call conscious connected breathing. So the first word is conscious. It's something you stay aware of, right? You want to be aware that you're aware. Connected, because we keep the breath, the incoming breath, the inhale and the exhale, we keep them connected. So there's no pause between the incoming and outgoing breath. And as we do this, we're just going to surrender to the process, accept whatever comes up, let go of struggle. One way you can visualize it happening is the breath being circular from coming up the back, coming down the front of the body to the pelvis area. You pick it up there and you bring it back up across the throat. So creating a circle. So for our viewers and everyone, just relax your body. Take 3 big deep breaths.
Oh, geez. Sorry.
It's okay.
I was trying to make it so that they're just seeing you.
Okay.
It's working.
Right. So after we've taken those 3 deep breaths, one of the problems we have in our society, in our lives, is that we're not grounded because we think too much. We live from here, right? So see if you can just pay attention for a minute to your feet on the floor, or if you're sitting down, your whatever is supporting your body. Just pay attention to being sitting or your feet on the floor. The breath we're gonna try and use is belly breathing, which is breathing from the belly up into the chest area. In other words, as deep as you can. Right? So let's do that. Let's begin that breath. You can do all nostril or all mouth breathing. It connects body, mind, and spirit much faster. So let's do that for the next 3 minutes. Let's begin now. As you continue, just keep the breath connected. Relax. No judgment. as you continue to breathe, just notice without any judgment what's happening in the body and keep the breath connected. Do it at your own pace. Relax the body as you breathe. Accept what is as you breathe. Remain aware and just integrate the breath. Continue for one more minute. Now just relax and go back to your normal breathing pattern. And just notice what happened during this small exercise. Just notice and just accept whatever took place without judgment. We judge ourselves so harshly in our lives. Your mind might have gotten a little quieter than it was before. You might be aware of just energy moving in your body, some tingling. You might be aware of more energy behind the eyes, in the throat, in the heart area. Whatever it is you notice, just accept it and allow it to be. And when you're ready, we can open our eyes and just be grateful for that couple of moments of breathing. It's just a small exercise of, there's hundreds of different types of breathing techniques coming from the various traditions. The historical facts point to Shiva, a Hindu goddess, who recommended practicing the Shiva Sutras. They say it's the first known documented cases of breathing techniques. And
how far back does that go?
That's thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
And but the Tao talks about breathing techniques. Buddhists talk about breathing techniques. So it's well documented in the East how breath affects us and how it can rid us of emotional dysfunction, mental dysfunction, physical dysfunction, and connect us to spirit. And it's free.
all the time, right? As long as we're here, it's here.
Yeah. So like I sent you that. I sent you that breathing pattern,
Yes,
and
I
I
will.
think you put
Mhm.
it on your website.
I can make it available on our website, yeah, so
Right.
people can read that and do that exercise. I want to also give you a plug. I don't know when we're going to be able to come back in person,
Uh-huh.
but in the workshop setting, I just want to let people know. So you have a group of people, maybe 8 people, a dozen, however many, and we're on the floor for 3 hours with this incredible music in the background and just
Right.
breathing. And I'm telling you, it's trippy. It take
Yeah.
you to a whole other
Yeah.
place. You feel blockages, things, energetically move in your body. It's really amazing what you can do just with the power of the breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if I can, that exercise we just did, which is keeping the breath connected, keeping it in a circular fashion, is actually the opposite of what we do when we suppress and create blockages. Because think about it, when something is happening and you go,
Hmm.
you're pushing it down. And so some favorite places we suppress material is right in the below the navel point in our nervous system, and we suppress material there. We suppress material here in the chest, right here, even in the trachea, and around the heart area. If you have had a broken heart, you can suppress a lot of pain right here in the heart area. So the we're doing the opposite and awakening, hitting those suppressed blocks when we do a workshop, and the 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 energy of the breath, the heat of the breath, which is another word they use for that is tapas, the heat, hit the blockages and can move them through and out, and we can correct a lot of things during the breathwork process.
Yeah. The other thing that was really amazing to me was, as you and your wife, who's also a therapist, right? She works, yes, also with people who are traumatized and
Yeah,
anxiety and stuff. Anyway, how you would walk through the room and you could look at us and know that we were not in that cycle.
right,
Like how you could tell, you know,
right,
just from looking at people that they're not, the breath is not flowing the way it
right,
should. And maybe it's easy to see from outside. I don't know, but I know I was just surprised that you could see it when I was out of sync and bring me back into it.
right. Well,
So,
that's some of that is from training, but as we are working in the room, we're energetically connected because I'm breathing too,
mhm.
and we're grounded, so we're all spiritually connected. So I can feel it. I just want to give my teacher a plug here. Where my teacher, she can walk into a room and look 20, 30 feet away and tell you somebody's not breathing, because she's been doing this for so long that she feels a little restriction by looking at you and connecting to you within her own body. So it's just amazing. It's a energetic transmission and communion and connection.
Yeah,
So
it's amazing. I'm looking at the time, and unfortunately, we have to wrap it up. We're probably over time already, but is there anything that you wanted to add, Clarke? And I'm going to put your contact information up while you're wrapping up here.
yeah, what I would like to add as a human being, a spiritual being, and a man who has found connection to joy, love, and spiritual, awakening to a good degree is to utilize this time to recognize what you really want in life and what is most important, and to practice that. And as far as the breath work is concerned, just that exercise what you will put up on your site. If you practice that 10-15 minutes in the morning and the evening, you can start correcting your own breathing patterns, which will bring a whole new potential to your life.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I want to share not an affirmation, but a quote here that I enjoy. Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Conscious breathing is my anchor. From Thich Nhat Hanh, Stepping into Freedom. I thank you. Oh, I've got just you. How about that? I don't know why I couldn't
Well,
get
thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And I want to invite you to be with us on the after call. We're going to do a Zoom gathering for anybody who may have some questions. You know what? I'm going to look because I see some comments here before I let you go. And let's see what people are saying. Most of them are saying hello, hello, hello. I hear it sharing. See if there's any questions. They couldn't hear the song. Oh, what a bummer. Let's see. Great subject. Breath of fire activates. We can only last a couple of weeks without food, 3 days without water, but only minutes without breathing. How about that?
4 minutes to be exact before
That's
brain dysfunction.
incredible, isn't it? You know that it's what defines life. It's the parameters of our life, right? The first breath,
Yep.
at birth, and the last breath,
Yeah.
and when we transition to whatever the next phase is.
Yeah.
Incredible. And here it is to heal us at our disposal, like you said, for free and always there. Thank you, Clarke.
Absolutely.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right.
Peace and love.
Yes, peace and love. So join us at 3:00.
Okay.
Zoom call.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna put myself in here now. And let's see. All right. I guess then I'm not going to try the song again. It's a bummer. It's a great song. It's "I Am Light" by India Irie, and Clarke suggested it. I really wanted to share it with you. But let's see what else we've got here. I think it's about time for us to, if you would like to donate, to the center, it is greatly appreciated. Let me put the little banner going across here. Yes. So it's simple. It's very, very simple for you to donate financially to the Center for Spiritual Living. And that is the phone number right there, 352-320-5110. And it's called Text to Tithe. So once you have it in your phone, all you have to do is put the number in. You can put in a 20, or you can put in a 200, or you can put in 2,000, or whatever it is that you want to give the center. And we would gladly accept your donations and greatly appreciate it. Let's see. And so I'm going to share our prayer or our affirmation for those who are sharing their gifts. And, it's not just financial gifts that people give to the center. We have people that volunteer their services. We've got folks that are coming in during the week and weeding and cutting trees and doing all kinds of things here. And it is all greatly appreciated. And so I'll just say our affirmation. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom. It is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing, and I am so grateful, because we know as we give, we receive. And let's see. I think that may be it. Maybe I have an affirmation here. It seems like I do somewhere. Nope, I forgot to put it in. Oh, well, I guess we'll just go on to our closing prayer. And I hope you all, some of you at least, will join us in the Zoom call right after this, about 4 o'clock, or maybe we may even get there a little bit sooner. So here is our prayer for protection as we close out our afternoon. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so I affirm for each and every one of you that you have a fabulous week, that you can take what you learned today and that it helps you in your life, and maybe will help relieve some of the anxiety or the pain in your heart that you may be feeling from things that are happening around us. And I just affirm that that all is well in your world. And so hope to see you next week. And thanks again for joining us. Take care.